Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Absolutely. This president will always put America first. He will always protect American citizens. We will not see diseases like the coronavirus come here.
Mm-hmm. So you can see how capable they are of lying, right? That's why I just played that little clip of Kayleigh McEnany lying. We're almost up to 190,000 dead in this country, 6,300,000 infected, 500,000 kids infected, 37,000 college students infected. School opened today, and in 14 of the 16 locations, online only. He's a failure. He is an epic failure, but he has a cult of personality like all thugs do, and these people are willing to die for him. So imagine the scenario, okay? Imagine on the morning of Election Day, right? I don't know, Trump starts tweeting. Joe Biden looks, sick to me, or I don't know. And then by election eve, most major networks have called the election for Biden. Okay, they've called the election for Biden. He's won key states. He's got a lead in the national popular vote. Polling experts predict that his lead's going to continue to grow as mail-in ballots and Western states come rolling in, where they have an unusually high number of mail-in ballots in the West. And the Electoral College looks secure for Joe Biden. But Donald Trump refuses to concede, and he starts tweeting in caps. Millions of illegal aliens and dead people have voted in large numbers, and the uncounted mail-ins are all fake. They're all fake votes. And his sycophantic social media group and, whatever foreign interference, they get on and they start screaming, it's a deep state coup. And Fox News starts opining, all right, Sean Hannity, I don't know about these mail-in ballots, I don't know about that. And OAN, this crazy little tiny news network, they start echoing, and then Barr comes out and he says, I'm going to open up an investigation into unsubstantiated, made of whole cloth allegations about massive vote-in mailer fraud and ties between Democratic officials and Antifa, for God's sake, and Michigan and Wisconsin, where Biden has already won the official vote and the Democratic governors have certified the slates of pro-Biden electors. Trump starts screaming at and threatening the Republican-controlled legislatures to send pro-Trump slates to Congress to cast their ballots instead of who the people voted for. And then the next week is total chaos because two slates of electors show up. Wisconsin sends a Republican slate and a Democratic slate. And that's when the protests begin, and they demand that Trump concede, and the president starts tweeting in caps, real patriots must show these Antifa terrorists that citizens who love the Second Amendment, which has nothing to do with voting, will never let them steal this election. And around the nation, violent clashes everywhere, and people are injured and they're killed in multiple incidents, and reports are conflicting, and you don't know who killed who started what. And then Trump declared, this useless carnage must end. It must end now. Our incredibly powerful military will rain fire and fury down on the streets. Teach these anti-American terrorists a lesson. Can you see where this is going? That is why you need to vote, bank it early. Early. Because we're looking at catastrophe on every level, not just in the streets, not just by these people who I don't know what the deal is with their, nads, but they have to have a gun to feel like a man. They have to have, an AR. They have to have a shotgun. They got to have 2 handguns on top of that with a silencer, and they got to have hundreds of rounds of ammunition. I don't know what's wrong with them, but, look, this is what we're looking at. And then on top of it, a constitutional crisis. Can you imagine America being put through this? Can you? Well, I hope you can. Because I'm telling it to you now, so that if it happens, because it's not a blowout, on November 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way through to January 20th, the day that if we haven't decided, if we haven't finished it, the election, Congress picks the president. Now, where am I getting this from? Okay, I'll tell you. In the Washington Post today, which you can all read, there is an article, and it's called "What's the Worst That Could Happen?" And law professors and civil servants and media experts, pollsters, strategists, Republicans, and Democrats were all called together to build a series of war games. I'm telling you, this was everybody was included. Some of the most accomplished Republicans, Democrats, civil servants, media experts, pollsters, and strategists. What do they imagine would happen in a range of scenarios? And the only scenario that they concluded would not include this kind of agitation or violence, massive amounts, was if there was a landslide for one or the other. Had to be a landslide. I mean, like, not even close. So I'm just telling you that. Tony in L.A.
It's Tony in Atlanta. How you doing, Randy?
I'm good. How you?
I'm much better now. You are my absolute radio goddess. I mean, I was going to ask you to do what you just did. And by the way, please put a clip of this, everything you just said, on YouTube so I can send it to like 9 million people.
There you go, Brett. Now we know what segment we're posting.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we've got our free segment for the day. Thank you very much,
What should we call
Tony.
it, Tony? Go name it. Name it. What's the worst that could happen?
There you go. What's the worst that can happen?
There you go. You named it.
Done,
right.
Tony. Thanks.
So, no problem. You already covered that. And the only other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick was, why doesn't somebody go on, say, Twitter or something like that? Trump keeps calling himself the law and order president. But everybody around him is going to jail. You cannot let him keep that talking point.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And, order, this man is so disordered that it's observable. You can see it. You can see he's disordered. You can see everything about him is disordered. The way he repeats himself constantly, the way he repeats talking points from, foreign adversaries, the way he disses our troops, the way he can't understand public service, the way he can't understand sacrifice. His mind is totally disordered. And the lawlessness around him is demonstrably provable. It's there.
Why didn't somebody say that during one of the press conferences?
Well, I think they have asked him about, well, Mr. President, how do you explain that everyone around you is either pled guilty, gone to jail, or, is awaiting sentencing? And he just dismisses it. He says, whatever, or he walks away. They have asked him.
Yeah, I suppose they have.
They have. Yeah.
Well, just please keep doing what you're doing, because everything that you said that's going to happen in the fall.
Oh, God. And like I said, we don't need to know. I don't want to be right. I don't want that to be what we're looking at or what we're going to have to deal. I want it to be a landslide. I want it to be a blowout. I want it to be obvious. I want it to be popular vote, electoral college, like 300, 320. You know what I mean? Like Florida has to go. Like, Arizona has to go. Colorado has to go. It can't be close. It has to be in your face, callable, without even the mail-in ballots. Otherwise, we're doomed. We're doomed to some sort of a crisis or multiple crises. It could be constitutional and violent. Could be just violent, or it could be just constitutional, which I think would bring out the violent ones. So,
yeah,
I'm telling
you know what scares me? when was the last time you were wrong? And I'm not saying that as a supplicant or, some kind of, suck up or anything like that.
I don't know.
But I want you to really look back. When was the last time Randi Rhodes was wrong about something?
I don't know.
And I will leave that with your viewers. Thank you, Randi.
Thanks, Tony. I hate being right. It's very difficult, by the way. Very difficult. And, having a love life and a romance, where you're always right, it's just, it's almost obnoxious. I could see it. I could see it from his point of view. I could see it. But truly, this has been, I want you to go to RandiRhodes.com, check your registration and all that, and then I want you to go to the homework and read this article, What's the Worst That Could Happen? Read it. Save it. Print it. Hold it. Put it in your back pocket. Know it. Learn it. Pass it on. Share it. Tweet it. Retweet me. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.